Hello and welcome to Pods Like Us. I'm Martin Crabone, known to my friends as Marv, and this time I am speaking with Sam Mitchell about his really important and incredible show, Autism Rocks and Rolls. Hey Sam, thanks for speaking today.
Hey, good to be here. Thank you again, man. I'm happy I was selected to be on your show, Pods Like Us, because we both love the podcast.
Yes, we do. And I love your show. It's very different, and it's good that it's got that niche where you're speaking about a subject that's important and needs more attention bringing to it, so that people realize that in some cases it's not the way that people think it is, really. Some people just have the wrong opinions of things sometimes, or get wrong information.
You're right there. You're 100% right there, man. This needs to be informed. I mean, autism, it's got to be out there because the disability doesn't end. A disability never ends.
No, and I mean, adding to that, one of your most recent episodes, that I mean, kicks it even more into touch because. So we'll get into this then now. So the best thing about it is that you are somebody that is autistic and has a ADHD as well, which is known as ADHD, as I found out. And that makes it more interesting because rather than it just being about medical professionals, which is good, talking about the subject, it's somebody who is living with this and has an incredibly great life with a lovely mum as well. I've got to say, your mum is lovely just by listening to her on that episode that you did towards the beginning. But that's what makes it good, is it's because it's you as the first person talking about it.
Yeah, that's what I believe too. Doctors are really great and they are a good starting point. But to my knowledge, they can't tell you why. Because the parent wants to know, okay, but why is he so blunt? Why does he struggle when his routine is changed? Why does he have meltdowns at Walmart? Well, that's where I come in. Because a doctor can tell you the science facts, but they want the emotional facts too.
Yeah. But it's cool because you go really into detail explaining it. So in that way where you explain the why and you explain what's actually going on inside your brain at the time when these things happen. And you also explain how you get round these things. And I mean, I don't like using the word disability because it's not. It's just a different perspective, really. In my opinion, it's just somebody that looks at things from a different point of view or looking at it differently to someone else. I'd sort of like say, in a sense, it's a superpower because you see things in ways that other people don't.
I would good too, but then sometimes also not gonna lie, the kicker is that the way I see it, society doesn't agree with me.
Yeah.
And who wins? That society does.
But you notice things that other people don't do as well because of that heightened sense that you have.
Right. I'm very observant, sometimes too observant.
Yeah. You have to watch that sometimes. But I mean, there's the thing. So, because you discuss in your show how you live with that and how you make decisions as to sometimes how you control your reactions to things and what goes on in the thought processes where you notice these things and how you were saying in the most recent episode that it's difficult because of having the autism and the ADHD, the battling against each other. So, I mean, how does that work?
It really works because it's logic versus illogic. I
Yeah.
mean, let's name a scenario. You got a girl that you want to talk to. You just think she's pretty, and we're men. We can say she's hot. Let's just be honest. She's hot. Well, the autism is wanting you to be like, all right, hold your horses. Let's take this time. But then your ADHD is like, boom, no, go, 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 go. Bro, if you don't wait, she's gonna get nailed by someone else.
It's almost like you've got two different Sams battling each other.
It really is. Or like one of the scenario was the Jamal case. This never happened. It was just a scenario. But Jamal's got a family dinner that just surprised him, but he was working on this puzzle. The autism would be, oh, okay, family comes first. Let's go to that dinner. But this ADHD saying, no, dude, you need to stay here. You are dedicated to this puzzle. Stick your butt down there. You're about finished.
Yeah, that sounds like me when I'm busy with a guitar or something in the background writing, and I will not notice that the other half is shouting me for dinner because I'm too stuck in that moment of trying to get that bit of that song down.
Yeah, I feel you on that one, my friend.
So, I mean, what was the inspiration then for starting the show?
Okay, I can go to that. So I started to join my high school's media club. Fell in love with the podcast thing so much. That's where I was introduced to it. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to start my own podcast because I love this. This makes me happy. I feel fulfilled. And I thought, because I've always wanted to do something good for the world, even though this world's not built for me, I wanted to do something good just for my sense, for other people's sense, make everyone happy.
Yeah.
Well, in my brain, I thought a podcast could, because it can be entertaining, it can be educational. It's yours. You do what you want with it. So I thought I could use this as an opportunity to educate on autism, to explain some behaviors because doctors can't explain the emotional side.
Yeah.
And wanted to have fun with it. I've definitely had some humor in there, or my humor at least. I think it's funny. On top of that, I wanted to really just tell some stories that I never got to share because one, you had to be there to understand it, or two, it just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like it's just stories that you really couldn't really get with an explanation. And I mean a long, long explanation.
Yeah. Yep.
Hello, Scoob believers. This is DJ Scoob from The Undiscovered Entrepreneur, a show that highlights brand new entrepreneurs that are just getting started in their entrepreneur adventure. And you're listening to Pods Like Us with my good friend Marv. Rank you.
Hey, this is Chris from Podtastic Audio, the show that I have created to help you create your amazing podcast. And you are listening to Pods Like Us.
So then you've come up with the idea of the inspiration. So then how did you get it? How did you get it out into the open? Then how did you create it and get the show made to start with?
Well, we had to go. I got a big roadcaster for my birthday. That was one idea. And then we got the other equipment because I didn't know that was like audio engineering. I'm just the guy who runs the show. The audio engineer more than that, but I had to get roadcaster. I had to get the mic. I had to learn Audacity a little bit more, like get used to it. It's just basic science now. I don't have to be like, does this go here? Does this go here? No, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, I mean, Audacity for what it is, it's really good for a free software.
Yeah, and that's what I like about it too. Everything's better free.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? So, what made you nail down when you were coming up to it? Did you have a set structure that you were going to follow for the show?
Yep, and still well, at first it was just intro, outro, but then we had to add some stuff in there. So my former facilitator, who is probably one of my mentors today, he recommended making a disclaimer because say I'm not a doctor. Okay, not a problem. Yep. He also thought I should give credit if I use other music, which I have done.
Yep.
I have a mission statement because of the nonprofit growing. People have paid to get advertised for a certain amount of time. So if you're 15 seconds, it's right in the beginning. If it's 30 and 60, it's in the middle. But then before the show, all people I like to thank. And then if it's an A or an E, which means autism behavior or entertainment, which means I'll go compare something to autism, it's just boom, mouth speaking.
Yeah.
But then if it's a P, I got a grand intro, introduce them like, welcome to the show, how you doing? And then it's just an interview with some ad breaks probably in the middle.
Yeah, that's good because it depends on what it's great because you get so many different interviews. I mean, like I've said, it was a really fantastic one earlier on when you had the talk with your mum and you went to the background of your mum's own understanding of it and how and her own learning about your diagnosis and these things, and that was just interesting. And then you've had experts in as well, doctors and all these other people, and it's just interesting that you're looking at it from all angles.
Yeah, I want to look at it from all angles because I do give doctors credit, but I think that everyone has their own views on stuff.
Yeah.
And I like to keep that, even though it's controversial, because I learned this on professional wrestling, so I'm a pro wrestling geek.
Yep.
And this is from Eric Bischoff himself. Controversy creates cash.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna lie to you. I am kind of a firm believer on that. And I don't try and make it out of the ball. Like if it's just, I believe in hitting women. Okay, I'm not gonna keep that. But if it's something such as not autism should be cured, I will never put that. I don't believe that. But if it's in my brain, just because of my experience, autism kind of for me stinks.
Right.
I'm gonna, because that's his view. He deserves to have that view. Now I might say, but did you like play devil's advocate and respectfully disagree with him?
Yep.
But I can't change his experience and his views.
No.
And maybe if I've been through what he went through or she went through, I might have a different perspective.
Yeah. But there's an interesting one as well, is when you've spoken to other people who have autism and how you have different experiences at the same time as each other, and then you discuss that between each other as well when you've had moments like that. That's been fascinating as well.
Yeah, you can also use a lot of media. I mean, there's their website, there's other interviews that they've been on. There's also sometimes my guest I'm going to have on literally wrote me 44 pages of his life story. I literally read those 44 pages, and I definitely have used that for some of my questions I'm going to ask him today.
Yeah, but I mean, what I'm saying is that's interesting because that's two people with autism talking together. That's what I'm trying to get there, is the fact that you never have that anywhere else. You don't have that just to be able to. It's strange because as viewers or listeners, we're experiencing this as something as sort of almost like outsiders listening to two people or friends just discussing something they have in common with each other.
Yeah, because in my brain, when I interview people, I got to know them. I have to know everything about them to a point. Now, I don't mean everything. I don't want to know what time you shower.
Yeah.
I don't want to know what time you go to bed or your. Here's a good one. I don't want to know your latest bathroom break.
Yep.
But if there's a story about you falling in the toilet, I'm going to ask you about that. Be like, so what's this about you falling in the toilet by chance? And it's not to embarrass them. It's just, we've all had blunders. Let's be honest. I've had some blunders. I probably admit some on some interviews. I'm going to ask you about. But if I know, like, oh, this guy wrote a play that went to Broadway, I'm asking him about this play because, whew, that is a big accomplishment.
It really is. Absolutely. So what sort of, I mean, you've already touched on this. So what sort of research do you do then leading up to each episode?
Interviews, for sure. I use a lot of interviews that or other people's podcasts they've been on.
Yep.
I've also used websites. I've also used things they've given to me. I always say with me in particular, the more you give me, not the easier, but the better.
Yeah.
Because I get to know more information about you, which means knowing more information equals knowing more questions.
Yeah. And knowing where to actually take the conversation as well.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, because as much as people like tangents in these shows, and we do as podcasters, a lot of us, there's this sort of, I mean, I've got it here. You have to have, well, I find that I have to have something that I follow to a degree so that I'm always making sure that I hit those points. And it's those points that you are researching for to make sure that the points that you've got to hit.
Yeah, it's what I have to do. I always make my questions, if it's an interview wise, category. Like, okay, first it's the keeper questions. I always ask the people of, like, I call them warm-up questions, and they're pretty big warm-up questions to get the ball rolling. And then I always do how I found them. So that means if you're on America's Got Talent, okay, I'm gonna ask you on America's Got Talent.
Yep.
Or if you heard about me, I'll ask you, hey, how'd you hear about me, by the way? Or one of my guests I found on Clubhouse. I'm gonna ask him about, so how did we meet, or what was your thoughts of me when I went to Clubhouse? And then I'll hit on the main points. So maybe the main point is this person is a race car driver. Okay, I'm gonna ask him some race car questions. Or he's an Iron Chef. I'm gonna ask him some Iron Chef questions. And then I'll go more into their story, and then the rest is just like what I find.
Well, if they've been on Iron Chef, then you'll want to know what the favorite recipe is.
That's a good question. I didn't think of that. I've never thought of that.
Sorry.
No,
if you get one on
question,
again,
actually.
yeah, you'll have to ask that one next time.
That is a good question. The reason why is with Simon Majumdar, who I had on, who's been on an Iron Chef judge on like Cutthroat Kitchen, Guys Groceries Games. I think he's been on Chopped too.
Yeah.
Beat Bobby Flay, Iron Chef judge, like Iron Chef, the show itself. So
yeah, my other half watches that show online. I think it's on Netflix or something that she watches.
Yeah.
But
and then I've also had a lot of United Kingdom guests. So we're in London. Let's promote them a little bit. I've had David Cubby from Britain's Got Talent.
Yep.
And also had, well, I'm not to be sexist, but I think females would know this show more than males. Megan Prescott, UK actress. She was on Skins.
Okay. Yep. I know Skins.
Hey, this is Danny from 1 Minute Podcast Tips, the show that helps you be a better podcaster in just a minute a week. And you're listening to Pods Like Us.
Hey, it's Rena, host of the Better Call Daddy Show, where I interview guests, share the stories with my dad, and then he weighs in. And you're listening to Pods Like Us.
So show music, it's different because the episodes that I've listened to have all got different music to them. So have you changed the music over time, or does it change every time?
So if it's one of the ones where I'm just blabbing, I use two of the musics that represent me. So to me, it's wrestling songs that I've been able to find for free. It's Stone Cold's Because the Glass Shatters in my brain.
Yeah.
That's kind of like boom when I shatter. And then Diesel, then I kind of found some Diesel truck noises to use. And that's just because I'm a redneck. That's the honest reason why I use those two. But then what I do with people is I'll ask them their favorite songs it's kind of my way of saying thank you. Because I can say, oh, thank you for being on my show. Oh, thank you. Not enough for me. I need to show you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got that sort of idea as well when I listened to that recent episode, which was just you talking about the ADHD and you had the glass shattering. I did wonder if that was to do with almost like an audio representation of the glass shattering inside occasionally with your thought processes.
Yep, that's why I did it. I thought, is there really any wrestling theme songs that represent me? And I looked around, I thought, oh, this one does for certainty because of the thought process.
Yep.
But then this other one is, oh my gosh, I'm definitely a fan of diesel noises, and when they go down to the diesel honks,
yep.
I'm kind of guy in the child in the background going, hey, honk the horn, why don't you?
And then you've got that really cool show logo as well with the jigsaw.
It was the first one. It was kind of a picture online. Like at first, it was kind of orange. I think it shows on my earlier episodes, but they kind of thought it was kind of plain, and they didn't want me to steal from Google Images, which I get. So we kind of modified it and made our own with some graphics, which my facilitator did as well.
But it's essentially it's a person's head that's been put together with a jigsaw pieces. There you go. People who are watching the video can see that. So it's a person's head with jigsaw pieces in there, and one of the jigsaw pieces is slightly not in place yet, and it just works perfectly.
I think it's just I'm just missing a piece of the puzzle. That's why I have it. I know a lot of people have their own views on it. A lot of people don't like the puzzle. A lot of people don't like Autism Speaks because they believe in curing it. I'm not one of those guys. I'm just being truth. The truth is, I'm sorry, I'm missing a piece of the puzzle. A little bit. It's just me, it's just a little mishap. But hey, I don't mind it. You don't have to have every piece of the puzzle to make art look pretty.
Well, that's true. I mean, I see that, and I just see a piece of the puzzle that's not quite in place yet, or just not quite in the same place.
I like to put it this way: I'll always be develop. See, I can't even speak right today. Developly delayed a little bit. So maybe right now I'm 21. Probably realistically, my mind is 17 or 18 or 19.
Okay, that's not bad though.
No, it's not bad. I'm just being realistic. Like the body shape is 21 years old, but cognitively, it's 18 or 19.
Mate, I'm 53 and my body's 53, but my brain is a teenager sometimes.
No, half the time my humor is a 12-year-old. Like I have the humor of 12-year-old. Like anytime you mention the word bathroom, see, I'm kind of chuckling at it, right? See, kind of laughing about it right now. I'm on the floor.
Yep, fart jokes. Yeah.
Yep, fart jokes.
Yeah, they'll always get you. So how do you organize the guests and where do you find them from?
Okay, so I can answer that. So sometimes I'll find the guests, they're celebrities. The way I do it is I literally go to their publicist and just talk to them, tell them what I want, here's the deal. I've had some luck. Now, some have been through stories. The one with Mick Foley I had, they helped me out. I was on a wrestling podcast, and there was some behind-the-scenes action going on to make that possible.
Cool.
Sometimes it would be me meeting them. The wrestler, Al Snow, he was at a local wrestling show, and I just asked, hey, man, you want to be on the show? Oh, sure, buddy. Okay. Then the others have been through a lot of conventions. The Squared Circle Expo gained me 2 guests.
Yep.
Then sometimes I'll find their personal information and email them. Sometimes I will be through Instagram or their social media outlets or Facebook Messenger. That's always a good way to do it.
Yeah.
And then let's see what else. I'm trying another way here. That's how I mainly find them. But then sometimes it's probably a process. Like I've had the big wrestler Kane on my show.
That's cool.
You know, he was a cool guy, but he's the mayor, so I had to go through his scheduling people. I had to go through his publicist. Kane was, I think I wouldn't say he wasn't interested, but I think he just wanted to make sure I was real and check what's going on with me, make sure that I'm doing this for a good cause, and I'm not here for the money. I'm here for the fortune.
Yeah.
Well, after a review, I get a text from his guy. Says, after reviewing your work and after looking at your information, Kane would like to be on your show. Kane said that.
Wow.
His people did not say that. I think if they would have said no, they would have said no. Kane said that.
Yeah. That is great. That is so good. And how do you choose which topic you're going to discuss, you're going to look at each time because you do episodes on your own occasionally as well as guest shows. How do you choose that?
I have a rule.
Go on.
No more than 5 interviews in a row. I don't do that rule because eventually that's going to get boring. If I'm a listener to a podcast and I'm an avid listener, I don't want to hear 5 interviews in a row because this is my thought. Here we go again. Even though we got different stories, I've heard this same old. No, we need a variety. In my brain, podcasting, you do have to spice it up. Now, I don't think you should spice up your structure, but should you spice up the topics? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, I mean, you don't always, it's not always about the autism itself in every episode. all the way through, you go into other areas as well, because of course you're a fan of wrestling. So you're going to be talking about wrestling to these people that you love in the world of wrestling.
And I've studied it. I mean, I like to learn the information about it. I mean, believe it or not, Kane, when he was Isaac Yankem,
Yep.
we know that wasn't yellow teeth, right? Let's just be honest. It wasn't really yellow teeth. It was paint.
Yep.
And I want to know, did you do the paint or did someone else do the paint? To me, that's interesting.
It is, yeah, because there's a theatricality to wrestling. If you look at it as it is, so that's how they're going to be. It's going to have all that in there, the drama and everything that's in there.
Yeah, and I'm not a guy who likes act like drama, like real drama. I hate that, but I've always been to broadcasting, clearly, theater, camera work, basically anything involved, not film. I like some of the film work, but it's not like behind the scenes stuff. Some of the stuff behind the scenes are kind of cool. I'll admit that. Basically anything involving production, I've always kind of been, not since the podcast, but the more I think of it, it's kind of been rooting that. But my dream was to be a professional wrestler, but I kind of had a student I wasn't going to have the body for that. But at a point, I was kind of stubborn. But the more I think about my life, it's been building up to that. When I was in school, we used to do this thing called Eastern Green Middle School News. And I thought, whoa, this is actually really cool. I mean, there's a bunch of kids telling them what's going on. There was a set where we did interviews about something. I actually suggested one of the topics about doing something about winter break. Like, what are you going to do over winter break? And I thought, to me at least, that was fascinating. I was actually part of that. They pulled me aside and said, what's going on here? I was confused. I knew they were the guys. And they told me, before we got on camera, we're going to do your idea.
Yeah.
And they asked me about like the winter break and the sledding. And that was it. But there were also different segments. But I even remember the credits going down and it would say whose birthday it is.
Wow. That's so cool.
I can't believe I remember that. Like, there are some days I'm like, how the heck do I remember that?
Yeah. How do we remember many things, really, in life?
Hey, it's Gil from the Mind Buzz podcast. Today's mind culture and social podcast. And you're listening to Pods Like Us.
Hey, this is Brian with Concerts That Made Us podcast, and you're listening to Pods Like Us, a great show about other great shows.
Recording and editing, you do that with Audacity, and recording, I'm guessing you do a lot of Zoom calls maybe or something similar.
Yeah, Zoom calls. I've been wanting to do Riverside, but god damn, I'm sorry, that takes forever to upload.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm not waiting that long for that. While I appreciate the quality, this has enough quality. Now, granted, Riverside does have better quality. I can see that. But I'm not waiting that long. I am not waiting that long. That's ridiculous.
Okay. I mean, I would have thought that a version of Riverside would be online, like, because Zencaster, you can do that online without actually having the software on your computer.
Yeah, I've considered others, but with Riverside, I just hate using that for interviews. But not because of the interview quality, it's great, but after you hang up, it's like, are we really still uploading this? It's 30 minutes interview. It is not 5 hours.
Yeah, that's true. We have that with Zencaster, where we use that for 2 shows that I do, not this, but 2 other shows. And that can take so long to upload the files because it's getting it from each individual person's computer or device.
I know. And it's like, really, dude? Really?
Yeah, in this day and age. So, recording and editing. And okay, so we go to the next one then, which is, what advice would you give to people either who are living with autism or ADHD, or people that are related to or friends with people that are?
Well, believe it or not, I asked this question as a keeper question, one of my warm-up questions. So I think people have asked me this before. So what I would recommend it just depends on who you are. So if you're a friend of someone, I'm not saying be patient, okay? Some of these people on the spectrum need friends. That's what they want. They're not interested in some of the things you're thinking. I know with females and males, sometimes they get the wrong idea. Let's just be honest. I think as males, we can probably guess what the female thinks sometimes. Let's just be honest. But that's not us. Okay, we're not trying to do any of those things to you. We just want amigos. We want friends, okay? We are probably 5-year-olds saying, can we be buddies?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. That's true. What about advice for other people who have like maybe recently been diagnosed, and any advice you'd give to those people?
Okay, it's not that sentence. That's my advice. And I would recommend find the right resources. Because we've done the assessment. This is why we're working on a database for Autism Rocks and Rolls.
Cool.
If you go online, it's going to be a lot of negative information. Like they'll have meltdowns. They're going to have this. They're going to have this. That's true. I won't lie to you. That needs to be there. You're also forgetting you may have meltdowns. You're going to be creative. You're going to have an idea of what you want to do. Autism or ADHD, you're going to want to do something. You're going to do something pretty spectacular that most Americans want to do. Let's look at people in the past. AGT contestant Cody Lee. Have you seen what that man's done? I think he's gotten 2 or 3 golden buzzers from big time celebrities, because Howie Mandel and Simon Cowell, they got mansions. Or let's think of another one here. Oh, here's a good one. I just had someone. Oh, James Durbin, One American Idol. Let's see. Megan Prescott, UK actress. She even has a theory that those in our time, like who wanted to go take an islands, like Christopher Columbus, had autism or ADHD because they were so bored.
But I mean, there's a variety of people. I mean, we have a naturalist named Chris Packham in the UK who is on the spectrum, and he says that in a sense with him, he finds that it makes it that he's more in the zone when he's doing things. So that's all that he's thinking about at that point in time, in essence, and that helps him with that. And you find that with a lot of people, where if they're in these sort of areas, it helps them because it's meaning that they put more into it. In a sense, they're fully into whatever they're working on at that point. And that's why a lot of people, I wouldn't be surprised if whoever that chap was at Bletchley Park who did the Enigma machine, I wouldn't be surprised if he was on the spectrum either, because they're like almost like thinking more.
Yeah, that's something too. I think we've learned that too. As I've gotten older, part of the reason why I think I've struggled is there's a somewhere in my brain, I don't know where exactly, but this is a doctor fact, and this doctor fact is accurate because I've done the research myself. Somewhere, I don't know where, but there's a part in your brain that's social, like where your social aspects. Like when we're socializing, we know not to say something like, if we said something kind of dumb, okay, dumb. Our brain's a little bigger. So with every social interaction, we're thinking, oh my gosh, because it's so big. I mean, yours, you can read obviously. Someone says hi to you. Oh, you know what it means. Just someone being nice. Someone says hi to me. It's like, hi, are you being nice to me right now? Are you manipulating me? Are you trying to do this? Because there's a lot of other things. I mean, if I can know like just a hi for everybody means just a hey, okay, fine. But a hi to everybody does not mean the same. It could mean they're lying to me, they're manipulating me, they're fake being nice, or they actually really care. And when you have all those options, it shouldn't be like that to me. But this is an autism view coming out.
I'm Agent Scott,
And I'm Cam the Provocateur.
and we're from the Spy Hards podcast.
That's right, and you are listening to Pods Like Us, the podcast that also has the Midas touch.
Hey, this is Jeff Cummings from the Best Song Podcast, the show that is telling the stories of every song nominated for the Academy Award. You're listening to Pods Like Us.
Well, I mean, it's good that the world has changed in a lot of ways to look at it from a different point of view as well. Because you've got things like, I mean, you said that you don't watch very much TV or whatever, but there's the television series The Good Doctor, for instance, where there's a doctor who's on the spectrum. And the fact that that show, it has these special effects where when he's thinking about something or diagnosing, you see on the screen all the thoughts that are going on in his head at the same time that sort of like battling with each other in a sense. And I think that makes more of a point of it so that people realize what's going on in essence, even though it's a dramatization and it's not completely 100% factual, it's still getting that truth out there in a certain way.
Yeah, and either way, it works too.
So what would you say is a standout moment then in your show for you?
I would say a standout moment is the moment that people started actually listening. It's hard to really define a moment, but for me, it's when the numbers started growing. It was when, now it's 20, now it's 40. Now each episode has this past 40 episodes, and that is true. I think that is true. When I last looked, every episode has at least 40 downloads or more. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like this is huge. This could grow. And then another huge is when I've had guests, when people actually wanted to come on and they actually thought, oh, this is actually really cool. So I would say those are some turning moments. And then sponsorships, when I developed sponsorships and I got paid to advertise as if I was a radio host.
Yep.
That's pretty darn cool.
The people coming onto the show, the coolest bit is when people approach you, and not when you're going up to them, but people coming to you and going, I've heard that you do a show. Do you want me to be on it? Instead of you asking them. That is cool.
It's a good, that's probably the biggest problem I have is there's so much people that want to be on, like, oh shoot. It's not that you're not good, it's just I gotta pick and choose. And I hate doing that because it makes me feel like the biggest asshole out there.
Yeah.
But my guest I'm gonna interview today, actually in 30 minutes, he found me, and after I did his research, I thought, oh, I gotta have you on, because 2 of his plays, they're about autism, went to Broadway.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that takes the cake.
Yeah. I mean, one of my favorite books of all time is about an autistic child. I forgot what the name of it is now, and they based a play on him as well. Something about the curious incident of the dog at midnight or something or other. I don't know if you know that book.
I don't think I know.
No. But anyway, that was interesting because that was from the boy's point of view as well, and how he was seeing things around him. And so this dog goes missing or whatever, and he gets it set into him that he wants to find out what's happened to this dog that just suddenly stopped showing up on the street that he lives on.
That does sound interesting. I might have to look into that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It is. So what advice would you give to people starting their own podcast?
Now, for podcast advice, my advice is go for it. That's the first part. The mic is nervous. I get it. But there's ways to get that. I know I had to just go for it after thinking if I want to do this or not. But the biggest thing is you got to make it yours. Because let's be honest, this show, Pods Like Us, there has been shows about how to make podcasts. I've been on a couple.
Yeah.
Like there's one called Podcasting School. That's a good example.
That's a superb show.
Oh, that is it. I
really
know
good. Yeah.
I know the host too, Adam Schauble, I think is his name. Oh, he's pretty cool. We've both been on each other's show. I've been on his show, and believe it or not, he's actually from my hometown. So we're literally 20 minutes from each other before he moved to Florida.
So did you do that in person then with him, or did you still do that remotely by Zoom?
That was virtual, but I met him in person several times. We went to PodFest. That's in a big podcast conference in Orlando. If you want to get your podcast well known, buddy, hit that up.
Yeah.
That is a podcast festival.
Yeah, but I'd go extend on what you've just said there, which is when you do a podcast, make sure that you as a person come through in that show. It's you. And that's what makes it different to every other podcast, that for the most part, most subjects in podcast have already been done or are already being done. The only difference is that your show has you in it and their show doesn't have you in it.
Exactly.
And that's the pull. If people like you, then they'll listen to that. So what do you like to listen to as a podcast yourself?
Well, I'm a big fan of music, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I've been more of a music guy than podcast guys because it's not if I don't like my work. It's just after a while, I get bored after people talking. So to me, I can't just sit around here blah, 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 blah for a bit. To me, I can hear blah, 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 bam, 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 or electric guitar noises, blah, 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 da, 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 da. Like, I hear more noises, but I just can't hear a conversation for an hour.
Yeah.
Because I don't talk to people for an hour unless it's family, clearly, but I don't talk to anyone that I know for an hour. Now, I might be with someone for an hour, but I don't talk to them for an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. Okay, so how can people find you and get hold of you then, Sam?
All right. Well, you can find me on your favorite media platform. If you think I'm there, I'm pretty sure I'm there. I'm on everything, but Anchor, I don't think I use that, but Podbean, Spotify, YouTube, I'm there. And if you Google me, something will pop up.
Do you want to explain to people where the resources that you've started online as well?
No, the database.
Yeah, the database. Yeah.
Dude, it's not that I don't want to. It's just we've started, and there's not even a website for that. We're just planning that right now.
Okay. This will be coming out in about 4.5 weeks' time. So if you've got anything in place by then, let me know, and I'll add it into the notes for this. Okay.
Okay. I can do that.
That's fine. Thanks for speaking with me today, Sam. You can find Pods Like Us on all social networks: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, or X as you're going to call it, and Threads. And you can contact us through podslikeus@gmail.com. Anyway, thank you everyone for listening, and hope you listen again to another episode of Pods Like Us.